So we just demonstrated how to use Git in sort of a local mode where you are editing and versioning controlling files on a single computer. But really a lot of the point of Git is to collaborate on your changes. Sometimes it is useful to just keep the versions local, but often you'll want to set up a centralized repository that your collaborators, for example, at the same company or the same academic team all work on together. You can do this in a bare bones way and host your own repository, but it's kind of another thing that you have to maintain. Or you can use a bunch of Git hosting services. There's Bitbucket, Google Code, SourceForge, or GitHub. GitHub in particular has become extremely popular. It's basically like a web-based, front end to Git, but it's really a lot more than that, these days. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the repo we just created, create a web version of it, and push the content to GitHub. So first, go to github.com/new and initialize a new repository as shown. Under your own username. You can choose either public or private. Public will be free. I would suggest doing that, just to get started with something. Create a repository here. If you do want a private repository, you need to sign up with a credit card and so on and so forth. So use the public feature. It's not a big deal. So you'll come to a screen that looks like this. What we're going to want to do is push an existing repository from the command line, the one that we just built up in the previous section. And it actually gives you the exact commands to execute. Now the issue is that if you try to execute these commands out of the box, what you're going to find is there's going to be an error. So let's actually go to EC2 and try doing that. So we're in the My Repo directory. We add the remote as shown, hit enter. It doesn't give you any feedback if it worked. The way you can see that it actually worked is you do cat.git/config, and you can see that that remote was added to the .git directory. In general, within a repository, a .git directory is created that holds all the metadata for that Git repository. So we did git remote add origin and so on, but if we now try to do the second command, which was git push -u origin master, this will not work. Permission denied, public key, the remote hung up unexpectedly. So what does that mean? It means that GitHub does not authorize this particular machine to push to the GitHub account that you set up. We're going to need to do that next. So how do we tell this machine that we can actually, we're authorized to do an SSH keygen from it? We basically type in the following commands. We're going to do sh keygen -t rsa-c and put in a name. We'll do that as follows. Obviously enter in your own email. So I'm going to delete this public key and so on afterwards. But the public key was saved in homeubuntu.sh id rsa pub. What we're going to want to do is copy this public key, this entire thing, just to copy that as you do a normal copy paste. We're going to go to a github.com URL, which is github.com/settings/ssh. You're going to click on your organization's or your individual's name. This will also work for your organization. Click SSH keys on the left. Add SSH key over there. Type in the name, Ubuntu EC2.1 is fine. And then paste in the thing that you just pasted in, the entire thing at once, and then hit add key. Now you have basically told the github.com website that this machine, which has, or rather this particular public key, anything that is signed with that public key and sent over is something which is valid, that basically GitHub is connecting the two. When you do this, you're going to get a password prompt from GitHub, so just type in your password and confirm. And now, if you set it up properly, when you go back to the command line and type in sh-t git at github.com, you should see a message that's like this. You've successfully authenticated, but GitHub does not provide shell access. And we know we got in because the username is shown. Now we can go and retry that same repo command that we tried before, git push -u origin master, and it worked. We have now set up GitHub so that it knows to accept pushes from the machine that has this particular public and private key pair in the .sh directory. we can now go, in fact, to this repository, startup class myrepo, and see that it's there. Let's do that now. So here's startup class myrepo. Here is file.txt, which we had edited. We can look and we can see file.txt. We can click the history of file.txt and see the history. We can always come back up to the top like so. And we have managed to synchronize our Ubuntu machine's Git repository with this remote GitHub repository. So that's great. We managed to go through the basics of Git, create a repository, added files, made commits, and pushed to a remote repository, in this case GitHub. I want to call out these, kind of 4 links over here. These are really worth clicking. The official book and videos, this reference tutorial, and this reference for advanced students. In particular, these videos will give you, some supplemental sort of understanding. Basically, a little more depth on Git. And then the official book goes into great detail on, all aspects of Git. It's really a course in its own right. And it's available for free at git-scm.com. So this is what you want to look at if you want to get to an intermediate or advanced level. However, at this point, we kind of understand the basics of Git, and that should be sufficient for at least the middle of the class.